When my son landed in the hospital, I thought my heart was going to stop. I never imagined that someone in our own family would put him there. My wife, Sarah, and I have two amazing kids. Lily, who's 8, and Ben, who just turned 6. They're our entire world. The other key people in this story are my grandparents, specifically my step-grandmother, Nancy. She married my granddad before I was even born, and honestly, I never liked her much. Nancy is old-fashioned in the worst way. She's the kind of woman who thinks a wife should cook, clean, and serve her husband without question. Sarah is nothing like that. She's independent, strong, and fiercely protective of our family. Nancy's constant jabs about how Sarah should be more of a traditional wife never sat right with either of us. It didn't help that Nancy also had a nasty habit of dismissing our parenting choices. One of the biggest issues was peanuts. I have a severe peanut allergy, the kind that can send me into anaphylactic shock. So naturally, when Sarah and I had kids, we took precautions. We knew there was a chance our children might inherit the allergy, so we kept our home peanut-free. We didn't want to risk exposing Lily or Ben until we knew they were safe. Nancy thought that was ridiculous. She had some warped belief that kids should be exposed early and just power through the allergy. No matter how many times we explained that it wasn't safe, she would just scoff and mutter about us being overprotective. I thought that was the end of it, just her usual outdated nonsense, until a few years ago when she crossed the line. We caught her sneaking Lily a peanut butter cookie behind our backs. My stomach dropped when I saw it. Sarah rushed over and snatched it away, and thankfully Lily wasn't allergic. I was so furious I couldn't see straight. I told Nancy that she could have killed our daughter, and that if she ever pulled something like that again, she'd be out of our lives for good. It took months for my family to calm me down and convince me to let her back in. I made it clear that she was on thin ice, but I thought she'd gotten the message. I was wrong. Last week, Nancy came by to visit. It was supposed to be a quick drop-in, but I noticed she had that smug, stubborn look on her face, the one that meant she was about to make a point. Sarah and I were in the kitchen when suddenly we heard coughing from the living room. Panic shot through me when I saw Ben clutching his throat, his face swelling and red. Next to him was a half-eaten peanut butter cookie. Nancy just stood there, looking annoyed, like Ben was putting on a show. I didn't have time to confront her. We rushed Ben to the hospital. Those moments in the car were the longest of my life, praying we'd get there in time. The doctors managed to stabilize him, thank God, but I couldn't shake the fear that we might have lost him. When it finally sank in that he was going to be okay, anger replaced the fear. Nancy had done it again. But this time, it could have been fatal. When we got home, Nancy was still there, unapologetic as ever. She actually tried to argue that Ben needed to get over his allergy and that it was good for him to be exposed. That was it. I told her to get out and never come back. I didn't care who thought I was overreacting. She had nearly killed my son because of her arrogance. Of course, some of my family thinks I'm being too harsh. They say it's just a generational thing, and that Nancy didn't mean any harm. Screw that. I don't care how old-fashioned she is. Nothing excuses putting a child's life at risk. I'm done tolerating her ignorance and putting my kids in danger. As far as I'm concerned, she's out of our lives for good. My son's safety will always come first, no matter what anyone else thinks.